Hey beautiful people, welcome to the part 2 of our jollof rice series where I share useful tips to achieving the best tasting jollof rice every single time. Today our focus will be on the importance of the type of stock you use, and I'll show you how I season my choice of meat and why. Now for jollof rice, you actually do need concentrated meat broth or stock. Your choice of meat is highly dependent on who you are cooking for. However, for me, I always opt to use chicken or turkey because the flavor is mild and it doesn't overpower the flavor of my stew base. And also, not everyone likes the idea of goat meat, flavored rice, but feel free to use goat meat or beef if that tickles your fancy. How do you get flavorful and concentrated broth or stock? I do this by cooking my meat on low heat in its juice for 15 to 20 minutes before adding any kind of liquid. That helps to intensify the flavor and the taste of the broth and the meat in general. You all know I am not a rule girl. However, one rule that guides me when I season my choice of meat for jollof rice is that I use the same ingredients as the jollof base, just with a few tweaks, here and there. Now, for the sake of this video, here is how I season my chicken for jollof rice. In this video, I'll be using 3 full chicken legs. Now let's make the pepper mix for the chicken. Into a blender, add your washed and deseeded tatashe and scotch bonnet peppers. Then add some onion. Next up, add some fresh garlic. Next up, add some fresh ginger. Then add a little bit of water. Remember I said that I use the same base as my jollof base to cook my chicken. Now into a clean pot, add the 3 full legs of chicken. Season it with a teaspoon of dried thyme. Next up, I'm adding fresh thyme. Here I am using 6 sprigs of fresh thyme. I'm also going to use 1 sprig of rosemary. I'm using 1 because rosemary can be a tad strong. I'll be using 1 heaping teaspoon of curry powder. And then I'll be using my Knorr beef seasoning cube. Feel free to use the Knorr chicken seasoning cube. I just personally prefer to use the beef seasoning cube for my cooking. Next up, add 1 teaspoon of salt. Then the pepper base that you made earlier, add that to the pot. Once you add the pepper mix, you can leave this to sit at room temperature for 30 to 1 hour. However, I do not necessarily do that. I just stir and cook this on low heat. Cooking this in its juice helps to intensify the flavor, improve the taste of the broth and also improve the taste of the meat, and you really do not necessarily have to marinate. Cover this and cook it on low heat for 14 to 15 minutes before introducing any kind of liquid. Now continue to check your chicken, and if after 20 minutes your chicken still has loads of water in the pot, don't add water. I typically don't add water, but then if I notice that the water has reduced, I add some. I typically add not more than a cup of water at a time, or just just enough to almost cover the chicken. Adding too much water reduces the flavor of the meat and stock. Now once the chicken is cooked, I like to allow the chicken to sit in its juice or in the stock for another 20 minutes or until it cools completely before draining it. Now if you intend to fry and grill your chicken, the draining process is required. It's very important. I personally hate when hot oil meets liquid. All that splatter and noise, I do not enjoy it, so I drain the meat completely before frying or grilling. This process also helps to cook the meat faster, or to get the meat grilling or frying faster. And there you have it. In the next post, we'll be talking about the stew base and rice, so stay glued for part 3 of our jollof series. Thank you for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed this, and until next time, I love you, munchos.